Welcome to Dissemination Block 7, Topic 3. This topic will focus on tips to successfully communicate your evaluation findings and ways to maximise impact. Firstly, active dissemination methods, such as one-to-one meetings, being present at events, webinars and targeted social media messages, are more engaging than passive ones and allow you to take your message to your stakeholders. On the other hand, static methods, such as reports, letters and news bulletins, require others to put their effort into actively engaging to your findings. So depending on the level of complexity of your findings, you may wish to use a mixture of active and more passive methods. Active and passive also refers to the type of language used. Consider using more action-oriented words in your findings, those which encourage doing something about them rather than just knowing about them. When writing up or otherwise sharing your findings, think about what information people need to make decisions based on and highlight these key elements. For example, explicitly identifying those benefits, harms, risks, costs and savings. There are many different formats which could be used to share your findings. Think about which are most suited to your audience and vary the format, language and layout appropriately. Information is easier to take on board if it is in a familiar format. Similarly, if appropriate, you could try and illustrate how your findings fit into existing organisational or institutional frameworks. And this will make it easier for stakeholders to see how your findings meet their priorities and information needs. Consider the timing of your dissemination outputs. Will your results be available in time for when decision making occurs? Are you trying to share your findings at a particularly busy time or a time when lots of other reports are coming out? Try and schedule your results for when people are most likely to be receptive and able to do something about them. If you've developed recommendations, make them specific. Do not expect others to operationalise vague recommendations into actionable items. Block 2 talked in detail about identifying stakeholders and the purpose of the evaluation. Effectively sharing your evaluation findings involves thinking about your intended users from the very start. Design the evaluation in such a way that best suits the needs of those you are evaluating for, and address the questions they most need the answers to in order to make decisions. In Block 1, we considered the importance of understanding wider contextual factors influencing what impact your findings will have. For example, those organisational or wider environmental issues which might facilitate or hinder the messages from your findings being taken on board. And if you can, provide feedback from interim findings, especially if your evaluation is likely to take some time to complete. This will keep it in people's minds and increase the opportunities for dissemination. When you start designing your evaluation, develop a dissemination strategy at the outset. And this way you can ensure that your required dissemination activities can be built into a budget and timeline for the project, and keeps your mind focused on what it is you're trying to achieve. This slide illustrates an example template for a dissemination strategy, which considers stakeholder type, information needs, format, timeline, and associated resource requirements. The final practicals of the online course ask you to share with others on the course any tips you found useful for actively sharing findings. Have you experienced any issues which prevent your findings being translated into practice? The discussion will remain open until the final course day. Secondly, complete section E of the evaluation planning pro forma, reporting and sharing findings. You should now have a fully completed evaluation plan written down, which you can use to start your own evaluation.